Welcome to Manifesting Your Mission with Brianna Brown-Keane. I am a professional actress, producer, author, speaker, CEO of 501c3 nonprofit The New Hollywood, and executive coach, mama and wifey. And each episode, we will dive deep into how to amplify your life personally and professionally using Manifesting Your Mission process and alongside incredible experts. Why? Because I believe that when we are all living our purpose, our world will be a happier, healthier, more harmonious place. So let's dive in and create ripples of change together and have a lot of fun doing it. Thank you so much, Simone De La Rue, for joining Manifesting Your Mission podcast. And so I'm going to ask, what are you drinking?
What am I drinking? Well, I don't know if I'm drinking or sculling or just having a little shot, but it's a protein shot, 21 grams. And I'm going to bang on about it all day, but it's women in midlife, we should be getting our protein. We're not getting enough. So I'm trying to add this to my, natural food where I'm, my shakes and things like that. So it's 21 grams of protein. So I will sip it or maybe I'll shoot it. I don't know.
Brand.
It's called Superpower, and it's only just recently been released, and they're really targeting towards the female market because we all are trying to get our 100 plus grams of protein every day, and we're not getting it if we're being totally honest. So I'm more about getting it from real foods and whole foods when you can, but this is just kind of a wonderful complement when you need a little extra boost. So
That's wonderful. Is there different flavors?
yes, this one's quite sweet, so excuse me if I make a funny face while I drink it. But cheers.
I have a ginormous. For those that have, it's like apparently I just going to have to pee the entire episode. Martin's favorite from creation. It's a ginormous bottle, so I look
that looks bigger than your head actually.
It is. You have a tiny bottle, and I have a bottle too big. I'm so excited to have you on. I just absolutely adore you. And I've known you for years, and I would love to dive into, just an easy question. Like, what is the silver lining of something that was just, it seemed like at the time the worst thing, but actually it was a blessing in disguise. You were able, or at least able to suck the marrow from it and see the silver lining.
Yeah, that's how long have we got? I know. Is this my therapy session?
Maybe.
Yeah. No, I would have to say like the career pivot. And, this one's been a big one. And for like the past 14 years, I've had the brand Body By Simone, which is a boutique fitness brand. And I had 4 studios, one in London, the original one in New York, and 2 in LA in West Hollywood that you would know, and Brentwood. And then last August, I finally closed my last studio, which was in Brentwood. And this was kind of a knock-on effect from COVID, which was crazy to think that was 5 years ago. But we fought and fought and fought to try and keep the doors open. There was, 9 months to 12 months that the studios were closed. And then when we reopened, everyone had to wear masks and be 6 foot, gap between one another, and business never really returned, from that moment. And so it was, such a big part of my identity, my community, my friends. And as you know, all the clients, all the trainers, everyone, we were kind of really a big family for so many years. It was like 14, 15 years. And so when I closed the doors, there were lots of tears. But it actually, the silver lining, it opened up for me to focus on the online world, the digital world, which with my app, retreats now that I'm hosting in Italy, and then like creating, online courses for women in midlife. And then from a personal standpoint, I have a 6-year-old son, and it just enabled me to really be present with him and spend a lot more time with him. I was kind of going from LA to New York to London, to LA to New York to London for so many years. It was a crazy ride. So yeah, it was an end of an era, an end of a chapter, but it's really opened up new possibilities and new beginnings. And that's really what I'm trying to focus on. And that has been, the silver lining in closing the physical locations.
Yeah. Well, and it's an evolution, right?
it is such an evolution because I mean, first of all, your workouts are incredible. And I don't know how you physically were able to do that many workouts a day with your private clients. I mean, you had a ton of trainers, so it's not like it was just you. But for those that don't know or haven't yet checked out the Body by Simone app or been in her classes when the studios were open, you'd have top actresses, Victoria's Secret models, people that are just really obsessed with fitness.
Yep.
But you put it in a way that was female forward, really, really fun, and had a dance element, and it didn't feel rigid and like some of them that have copied you, I feel like, where it's a little more like rigid and it doesn't feel as like fun and fluid and feminine. So, and you still have all of that available through your app and obviously through what the other things that you're teaching in the courses. But what did you think? Like, I totally can understand with the wanting to be there with your kid more often and to be spending more time at home and to have a little bit more freedom from just constantly working, working, working. Like, so my question is, was there a moment that you realized that this was like, even though there was massive heartbreak, that this was actually a breakthrough?
Yeah, like I say, to me, the idea of a rich life is not necessarily driving the Mercedes Benz and having the Gucci handbags, although that's lovely. But for me, having a rich life is being able to pick my son up from school and drop him off to school. And so he's in first grade at the moment. And prior to me closing the studios, I would be up at 5:30. I would be training, 6:30, 7:30. People would always want to work out before work, or I'd be on set with people. And, I wouldn't have been able to drop him off at school and watch him walk in and, wave and kiss him goodbye. And, they say you only have 15 summers or, whatever it is, 18 years with them. And so, yeah, for me, it's just being able to really be present with him. And so that was kind of like the aha moment. It's like if I had all of these staff and all of these studios and this massive business that I had to, give my energy to, he would have, it would have been a battle between those. So
Yeah.
everything works out in the end, doesn't it? How it's supposed to.
Right. It does. Well, and also sometimes we have to consciously create it, right? I think, did you feel torn when you were working all the time and doing that and then not spending time with your son? Was that hard for you?
Well, we can delve into this a little bit too, but I am a single parent and I have been for, 4 out of his 6 years. So he has come everywhere with me. And so I would have clients, he would be in the stroller in the corner of the room while we'd be doing class, or, I'd come to their house. And luckily, talking about female forward and female empowerment, everyone was always very understanding. And they were like, okay, well, Simone's plus one is Oscar. And he, was always a part of it. Or Saturday mornings, 8 a.m. class, he would be there sitting on his iPad, while I would be teaching class, and which I thought was, I always want him to understand that you have to work for things and that as much as I love him, the world doesn't necessarily revolve around him. So I want him to see me working hard. And it's like, how do you get things in your life? You have to work hard for them. You have to make money. I just took him everywhere. And it was hard. It was a juggling act, but, I made it work.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. You were able to do that with even during preschool and everything?
Yes, yeah. And I mean, he had a great preschool. So when that started, I kind of worked my hours around him. And I really said, I created boundaries with my clients. And I said, I'm not available till 9:30 in the mornings now. So if you want me, then you'll have to make that work. Otherwise, this is not going to work anymore. So that was quite empowering to do. I was very nervous and scared because I thought, well, I could possibly lose. And I did lose some clients out of it. But it was important for me to put him first and have those boundaries.
That's great. That's great. And then if you could just kind of tell us a little bit about your highlight reel, like your background. I mean, I know your background from being a dancer but I would love for you to just share how you got into all of this and being just a top tier fitness expert.
Yeah, I like to call it in chapters. So chapter one was my, professional dancer. I was obsessed with dance, was always a dream. And I did musicals in Australia, and then I did musicals on the West End in London, and then finally got to tick the Broadway. I'd done Broadway, so I ticked that box. And I did so many shows for 18 years, and I loved it. And it was a big part of, who I was, I guess who I am. And I think you would know too, this as a performer, it's like you get to a point where you're constantly auditioning, saying, please love me, like, let me be the one, like, am I the right look for this? And, I'm 5'3", I'm never going to be a rocket. It's like one of those things, it's like, you just have to accept in life. But it was like always putting my future in somebody else's hands. So I remember having an aha moment in a Broadway dressing room, and all the girls were talking about the next audition that they were going to. And I thought, I don't want to do that anymore. Like I wanted to take back the power and really, create something for myself. I had no business plan. I hadn't been to business school. I had no clue what I was doing, but I just knew that I had a passion for dance and I wanted to help women. And so I started Body by Simone. And the 26th and 11th was the studio in West Chelsea. I remember my hand was shaking when I was signing the contract for the lease for 5 years. How am I even going to, pay the rent, let alone have it, be successful? And I was the manager, the bookkeeper. I cleaned the toilets. I trained 7 hours a day. And I was actually doing Promises on Broadway at the time. So I'd train all day. I'd go and do the show at night and, kind of and start again. So it was crazy. I was just working so hard, but I was so ambitious and so driven. And I knew that's what I wanted to do. And it just naturally evolved. And I think sometimes when you're in the right energy, you're doing things from a place of authenticity and love and service, to help others. It just kind of grew and grew and grew, word of mouth from one person to the next. I happened to fall in with a group of celebrities, which I know now looking back was huge, huge luck. I mean, how that even happened, I don't know. And so, what you do a good job and you respect them, then the word of mouth recommend you to somebody else. And it just kind of grew from that. So then, I came over to LA and opened the studios and happened to do a TV show on E Network with the Kardashians, which is, a small name. So that kind of really blew up my career from there as well. So I think it's a bit of hard work, a lot of luck, and just being in the right place at the right time. But I've always used my body as my tool. And it has always kind of been about dance and movement and really kind of shifting your mood or your energy based on exercise and dance.
Yeah. And then do you, because I find that with leadership, because your business is the energy and the tone of you.
Hmm.
And so how did you keep your energy and to keep the tone? Because your workouts, your whole business model has such positivity, is so much energy. And it's also, I know you say it's a bit of luck, but the way you have a lot of your movement structured, it does not cause injury the same way that a lot of different modalities cause a lot of injury. So like, what did you do every day? I mean, every day you're waking up early to go motivate all these other women every day over and over and over and over and over again. Really high level clientele. Like, what did you do to motivate yourself?
Yeah, I think you're only as good as your team, right? So surrounding yourself with an incredible team. So we spend a lot of time training and working together, because at the end of the day, you can teach anyone how to do a bicep curl, but it's how the energy in the room, how you respect the client, how you respect your fellow workmates. And so really trying to bring that beautiful, leave your ego at the door and bring the beautiful energy into the room. So I worked really hard that all of my staff were an extension of me, an extension of my energy. And so, there were many times when I would rely on them. But I think you get a lot of energy from people when you give energy. And so I just found that watching a woman transform, it was someone that would come into class in January and was hiding up the back and they were so shy and embarrassed. And by, February, March, April, they're gradually coming to the front of the class and feeling more confident and knowing the community. Just seeing that transformation in women was really kind of what kept me going. And it's so inspiring. And I love to see that women feeling strong within and therefore feeling, strong on the outer.
Yeah. And then I want to talk to you about these retreats and your courses, because you were on the forefront of doing the app before everybody had an app and before everyone was doing that. Like, And your app is really great. It has so much information. It's really, really well done. It's so solid. I find a lot of people's stuff is a little thrown together. It's not. And there's so much thought put into it. Like, how did you gear into that and just kind of guide us through the different things, modalities that people can find you?
Yeah, I started the app in 2018 because I just wanted to hit a broader audience. And then, of course, COVID hit, and then every single person turned to Zoom. So all of a sudden, every single business is doing online, classes. So it was interesting that I was lucky that I had that core base of followers, from 2018. But I wanted to provide, as I think, how I would like to work out. Some days I want to work out for 10 minutes. Other days I want to work out for 55 minutes. Some days I want to do ballet or bar or yoga or Pilates. Other days I want to do dance cardio or trampoline cardio or HIIT. Some days I want to pick up heavy weights and do strength training. So it really, the app and all of the content on it came from what I've done throughout my life as a dancer, what I know a lot of women want. We want to mix it up. It's much better for your brain. It's much better for your muscles if you're constantly doing different kinds of workouts. So I wanted to be able to have somewhere that people could come and they didn't need to leave. They didn't need to get an app or go to another class to get all the different type of modalities. So that's kind of how it was created. It's a constant work progress. I'm constantly creating new content as I evolve as a woman, as my body evolves. I turned 50 last year, and let me tell you, there's hours of dance cardio. I can't do that anymore. It's too challenging. So, for me personally, I want to do shorter, more concise workouts. And a lot of my audience have aged with me. So we're kind of all in the same field. So I'm trying to make sure that still providing the same Body by Simone that people love, but still evolving into new content.
Yeah. And then what do you find are the common hiccups that most women hit when it comes to working out and their wellness? Like, I know you're coaching people, you have your retreats, you have obviously your courses. Like, what are the things that you see are like a common issue and hurdle people are dealing with?
Think hitting midlife, and for me to personally go through it now, I have a lot more empathy for women. For 20 in my 20s and 30s and 40s, I was in a bra top every day and leggings and doing dance cardio for hours and lifting 3-pound weights, and you could eat a salad and get loads of sleep, and all the things that we used to do then don't work anymore. And it's crazy to say this and think this, but there's such a hormonal shift that happens, an energy dip. And so, the types of workouts we did, the types of food that we, used to eat no longer work for women. So it's basically trying to reinvent and recreate what we do now in midlife. And, we don't need to exercise as much. I think we come from the years of like, you've got to do at least an hour a day, or, if you're training towards something, you've got to do 2 hours a day. It's like, no, actually you don't. You have to be careful that you don't spike your cortisol level. You want to make sure that you're really building and maintaining muscle mass. And so there is a really big shift from, dance cardio and 3-pound weights to, let's focus on 20 minutes of strength training when you're lifting 10, 15, 20 pounds. So I'm personally going through it. I'm personally seeing the changes in my body and my energy. So I'm really trying to create something. There's a gap in the market. It's like you kind of hit midlife and then people are like, oh, you focus on your kids or you leave your career and
Yeah.
we don't see workouts for you anymore. And so I'm really trying to kind of hone in on women in midlife that really need guidance now more than ever. So
Well, and also, if you have an injury, and then if you don't know how to work around that injury and work with that injury.
yeah. And you have to be an educated trainer to know how to do that. And, that's the other thing. There's so many things now. I go on Instagram and see people and, they don't have the qualifications and they're like, do this workout and this is how many reps you're supposed to do. And young women are following this because they think, oh, well, this person's got 1 million followers. They must know what they're talking about. So it's really making sure that I always say we want to be working out when we're 70. Like you want to set up for longevity. There should be a lifestyle. It's not a quick fix. And really making sure that you're protecting your body and doing exercises that suit you, because once again, we're all individuals. All of our bodies are different. All of our needs are different. So really trying to find something, that works works for you, but making sure that you're setting yourself up for success and that you're taking care of your body.
Yeah. And then were you the first or one of the initials people to start trampoline classes?
Yes,
They're so fun.
it's
And
so
can you
fun.
explain why that's beneficial, what people get from doing, especially if you download the app and use that section, like why it's a worthwhile investment?
Yeah, I think so many of us, I've never liked running. Like running on a treadmill for me is just so the idea of just trying to get your cardio up, like you can sprint on this trampoline, right? But put some music on. But it's low impact on the joints. That's the big one. So the ankles, knees, hips, and lower back. You're still going to get that. You're still going to burn calories. It drains your lymphatic glands. It actually makes you really focus on your core strength because you're having to stabilize, to balance so that you don't fall off. So it's a really great full body tool. You're going to get, lower body in there as well, a connection to your core and just really protecting your joints. And there's something joyous about it. Like it helps you kind of reconnect with your inner child, and you feel a little bit like, oh, this is fun and crazy and silly. And so, yeah, I still use it with all of my clients, but sometimes we'll do dance cardio on, and other times I'll just have them sprinting, which feels like you're running in quicksand. So, really going to elevate that heart rate quite quickly, and pump those good endorphins through your body, but feels like fun and joyous at the same time.
Yeah. And then will you talk us through a little bit about your courses and your retreat? And it sounds like you still take on some clients, but I
Yeah,
don't know where in the world you are right now.
yeah, yeah. So, the retreats, it's always been a passion of mine. I love travel. I just could, if I could just be on an airplane traveling all the time and take my son with me, I would do that. But Italy has always been one of my favorite destinations. And last year we hosted the first one in Tuscany. This year we're doing it in Amalfi Coast. And next year, 2026, will be in Sicily. And it's just last year was like 13 women. Some of them were from the New York studio when I originally opened, some from LA, and then people from all over Europe and Asia and Australia. It was really a melting pot um, of women. And it could have been a disaster, really, but we all came together, we all worked out, and we got to do fun things like truffle hunting and pasta making and, drink wine and just kind of really connect on a level that carving out time just for you, for nobody else, it's just for you. And so, the spiritual elements to it, we're not too woo woo. I always say, no, I don't like to go too woo woo, but there's definitely spiritual element to it. But just coming together with a group of women in a beautiful location. And so I, was so passionate about that. That was a highlight of mine last year. And the next one is in a couple of weeks. And I'm literally counting down the days. So I think I will, part of my business plan moving forward is to create more of these really special experiences that people, you want to travel now, but you don't necessarily want to sit by a pool and drink 7 margaritas. You still want to have that guilt free where you can work out and feel good, but then you can explore a new location and eat and indulge, really trying to find that balance. So
Yeah.
that's my retreats. And then my program I'm launching called the Simone Sessions, and it's for women in midlife. And it will be like group coaching because I miss that community from the studios. So we'll do a workout once a week, and a check-in, and there'll be prompts for journaling and nutrition and workouts. And just having them open to really open the dialogue about perimenopause and menopause, the change in the body, the change in energy, and having a safe space for women to kind of share.
Yeah. I have a question, just going back. How did you figure out how to run your business? Because you scaled it in such an amazing way. Like, did you take business classes? Did you have a mentor? Like, how did you figure out how to go from, your one studio where like, I don't know how I'm going to pay rent and working on a Broadway show to internationally being in 2 different countries
Yeah.
and, and then in one of the countries, 2 different coasts?
Yeah, I when I look back at it now, I just think I really don't know how I did it, but I think it was, the success of one studio. I took the money from that and built the next one, the success of that one. Once again, I think, I hired a lot of friends, a lot of dancers. So I had a wonderful team that I respected and they respected me. So I always knew that if I left West Hollywood, LA studio and went to London, they would be okay. And then I had good people looking after it. And so, yeah, I think it was just kind of an evolution of, one success led to the next, led to the next. But then I did realize, there was a moment of my name's on the door, Body by Simone. So I had to be present in all of those. And that was kind of becoming physically impossible in the end. And so as I do believe everything happens for a reason, as heartbreaking as it was and still is that those locations have closed, I was getting to kind of like breaking point where I was like, I can't be on an airplane. And I had, Oscar was 8 weeks old as I was doing this. I can't physically do that.
Because you can't. And I think there's an idea that you could, but then you just wouldn't be a mom.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, I've talked to so many women about this where it's like, wait a minute, I thought I was told you can just do all of it.
All of it. And
all of it all the time. And you're like, no, you can't. And I think that's a big like shock for a lot of my peer group where we're talking to each other, silently, like, what? Were we lied to? Oh, now I understand more, or or have more compassion for this situation. But so that must have been, I can't imagine you having not even 3 months postpartum and you're flying internationally to try and bounce from one place to another. And then all the while, I mean, especially if y'all haven't seen Simone do her workout, she's not sitting by and just saying like, all right, do another rep, do another. She's doing it with you. She is like on her toes, bouncing like effortlessly, seemingly effortlessly. So it's not like, you're just on the sideline eating
Drop and
donut.
give me 20.
Oh, I love that. I love it. All right. Well, let me go into my long ass list of questions. After I have one more comment. I do love that your retreat is essentially an elevated vacation.
Yeah.
It's not just you're only having green juice and you're not detoxing the entire time. You're like, this would be hard in Italy. So I love that. Like, let's live life.
Let's live.
And
yeah, I'm always about that. I think life, everything should be in moderation. And I think a lot of women want to travel, but they're too scared to travel on their own or they don't feel safe, and this is, like traveling in a group and it's all curated and we have a guide. And so it's like, it's a wonderful opportunity to see the world, with your peers and feel safe. But also just like have a good time. I'm not that person that's going to say, let's meditate for 2 hours and then, let's starve for 6 hours. And not that there's anything wrong with that. I love that. But, you don't want to go to Italy and do that. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's not the location. That just feels like torture. All right, great. So my long ass list of questions. Travel is a big part, I think, of people manifesting their mission, of really seeing who they are, what they want, evolving. And so what is the most inspiring place that you've been to and why?
Yeah, I think this was probably about 20 years ago now. I went to India. I thought it was going to be like a spiritual awakening. And I went to Delhi, Agra, and Bombay. And I was just taken aback about the poverty there. It was really, it was eye-opening. And it brought me to a place of gratitude about how lucky we are, in America to have all the things that we have. It was, I did get my, my spiritual moment when I went to the Taj Mahal, and then you covered by red desert, orange, this dress. And then you see this beautiful white marble building, built out of one man's love for this woman. But, it was, inspirational, I guess, to the point where it just brought me back to thinking, I'm going to be in the present moment and so grateful for everything that I have in my life, and realizing how lucky we are in the States.
Yeah. I think it was Tony Robbins had this incredible stat that was some version of if you have an iPhone or a phone where you have internet access, you are in the top 2% of wealth in the world.
Yeah.
And you have access to learn basically anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so the kind of idea of privilege where it's we don't even really see or understand true poverty, because obviously there's homelessness that's awful, but in other countries where it's just the have and have nots are so greatly divided. But I
Yeah.
remember that was such an aha, like, wow, like we have so much at our fingertips and it's just, are we using it?
Yeah. And seeing the children, that was the heartbreaking part to me, begging on the street. And I always say to Oscar, when he's like, "Oh, I don't want to eat my sandwich." I'm just like, do you realize how lucky you are that we have, food on the table, bringing it back to that place of gratitude because we are so spoiled here.
Yeah. And we see things like as if everyone has that, like what it could be, the smoke and mirrors of what life could
Could
be,
be.
should be.
Yeah.
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 What is a recipe that you love and why?
I don't know if it's a recipe, but I just love food. I'm a big meat eater. I love, 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 like, so steak. So for me, I guess maybe it's my Australian or English background, but I love a good roast. So like roast vegetables, like roast beets, Brussels sprouts, parsnip, sweet potato. I could eat all day, every day, like roast vegetables. And I love, a really well cooked steak. So it's definitely not a fancy recipe, but it's just very wholesome. And I didn't know, it's just like warm and cozy, and I love it. I love a good roast.
Yeah. And then I know you have recipes on your app as
Yeah.
well.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you cook a lot or do you, because you have all these great recipes, is that something that you spend a lot of time doing or you
I'm
delegate?
trying to be a better cook. I really am trying to focus on being a better cook. I wouldn't say I'm an amazing cook by any means, but that I'm always like, there'll always be a meat and two vegetables. But I mean, we eat really well. I eat really clean for Oscar. It cracks me up. Like, his appetite or his palate for things, he, will be open and trying things, which I think is really great. But yeah, I'm a big protein, 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 hence this, but really pushing my women to, I have a lot of vegan and vegetarian clients, which is also fine. But no, you'll always catch me eating a big juicy steak.
What is a song that has inspired you?
It's an old, old song, India Ari, and the song is called Strength, Courage and Wisdom. And I just think it's such an anthem for women. And if I'm ever having a day of self-doubt or, feeling blue, I'll put that on in the car and, crank it up and just sing it out loud. And I think that's something that comes with age of getting older that we don't embrace in Hollywood especially. But really thinking about, as we get older, we have strength, we had courage, and we have wisdom, and we should be, relying on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is a book that's like the book that really transformed?
My book is called it's Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. It's been my Bible for like 100 years. It's so like torn up and the edges are all crunched up and there's like wet marks and cup of tea mark on the top of it. It's I just love the idea of like anything that we think we create in our body. So if there's dis-ease, if they've got negative thoughts in our minds, then it comes out in our body and we repress it. So it's fascinating if you're like, oh, I've got lower back pain, and you look it up and it's like, oh, fear of security. And there's an affirmation and a mantra to say. And you're like, oh, it's really incredible. So it's maybe too woo-woo for some people, but
Yeah.
I love it, and I really believe that's like the power of the mind. What we create, what
Yeah.
we reflect.
I love Louise Hay. She's my book as well.
Yeah.
And just the idea of like it's just changing a thought. It's a thought. Changing a
Hmm.
thought. Because then a thought becomes a habit or an action. It's like it all begins with what are we thinking? I
Thinking.
love that book, and that's been a transformative book for a lot of women in my communities, in my nonprofit specifically. So it's definitely not too woo woo here. I love that book. But you also have a book.
Yes, I know. I'm thinking about writing another book because this book is, let's see, it's 14 years old now. And when I flick through it, like the basis and the core principles of it are still very much me and resonate with me. But, I've evolved as a woman, and so yeah, I think it'd be time to rewrite another one, based on, but it's based on my love of dance and fitness, and there's workouts in there and recipes in there and like a guide for women. But once again, it was in my like late 30s or mid 30s. So like now as a 50-year-old woman, some of those things have to change. So take those little 3-pound weights away and replace it with a 15-pound weight.
Yeah. What is the name of it again? The book?
It's called Body by Simone, the 8-week transformation. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's great. What is a quote that like you live by that inspires you?
Yeah, I don't even know if someone wrote this or maybe I made this up, but I say it. All my friends know that it's the Simone quote, but I just say yes to life. And you know what that means by saying yes, it's just opening the doors and the possibilities to anything, and don't live in fear. Don't come from a place of fear of no, I can't and I shouldn't and I don't, but just yes, and see what happens.
I love that. I
Mm.
love that. And then is there a documentary that you enjoy that's a favorite for you?
Yeah. Not sure. I'm assuming it's a documentary, but Anthony Bourdain's No Reservations. I could watch that show, and I do watch that show all day, every day. Because I'm so passionate about travel, but I love and food, love good food. So it's like, I love the show because it's not just about food, it's about culture, and it's about connection and being able to travel anywhere and meet people from different cultures, but have that common love for food and for people, for one another, and experiencing new things. So, yeah, I love that show. I just had on yesterday when he went to Venice in Italy, and it was getting me excited for my retreat.
Well, it's interesting that you've basically manifested that.
Yeah, I know. But I as a kid, I remember I was like, I want to be a dancer. I want to be a host on a travel show. So maybe this is my retreats and my travel show. I just need to get in front of a camera now.
I
Yeah.
I see it. I see it.
Just a
And
film crew. Like, I'll
we'll
just
do a
pick one of
couple
those up.
squats and then let's go.
Yeah,
Let's go
exactly, right?
to the mountaintop.
Yeah.
I love it. What is a cause that you're passionate about?
I think really holding empathy and a place for single mothers, and being a single mother myself, it's hard. It's hard to juggle all of the things and try and be a businesswoman, try and make time for yourself, try and be present in everything for your child's life. Yeah, it's tough, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, he is my life and the greatest love, and he was really helped me evolve in so many ways. But I just think that compassion and empathy for single parents. There's so many things, like when you go to school and they ask you, to fill out the form, and the form is parent 1 and parent 2, and it's like there is no parent 2, and so there's that moment of, there's so many little things that you don't really know or acknowledge happen until you're in it. And like me trying to be the mother figure, and I have a village and plethora of women to look after him, but then also trying to be the male role model and let him have that, trying to be everything for him, which is, doing my best.
Right. Well, and it's impossible. It's impossible. You need a village. We
Yeah.
we all need a village. Even if
Yeah.
you have 2 parents, it's a lot. Yeah, I mean, I know the stat is that, 50% of single mothers are living below the poverty line.
Yeah.
It is a very for real situation for so many women that aren't as business savvy
Mhm.
to be able to evolve, So for sure, that is for sure. We need to be supporting, families and women who are having to be both, or
Yeah.
men that are having to be
Oh,
both.
yeah. Either parent having to do it all, on their own.
Yeah. Who is a mentor or influencer that you would amplify? Who's really like influenced you?
I mean, my mentor would be my mother. She's the nicest person I know. She's just pure light, pure love, pure energy. And she's a therapist. So all my life was, Simone, where is this anger coming from? Let's talk about this anger. I was always in the therapy chair. But no, she is incredible, and she would definitely be my mentor. And I'd say probably my influence would be Oscar, my son. I didn't realize love like this could exist until I had him. He's helped me evolve as a woman. Um, you know, I- and just there's something beautiful about kids that make you be in the present moment. Like they're just their innocence of the comments and things that they say, or what's important to them, today. It just brings you back the simplicity of, the imagination and joy and innocence. So he has definitely helped me, influenced me to be a mother and evolve as a woman.
Yeah. Aren't you so grateful you have a son? Yeah.
I got pregnant with Oscar at 44. It was kind of a miracle. I had no connection to whether it was going to be a boy or a girl. And to be honest, I was like, I just want to have a child. I just want them to be healthy. Like, that's all. But now looking at my life and my life choices and my life pattern, I think the universe gave me a boy so that I could understand pure love with a male, because I haven't had that in my life for like as a father figure or as a partner. And so I think it's really interesting. Yeah. The children that we're given or that we choose or they choose us. So he definitely chose me to help me throughout this life.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah. I just having a child, A, is incredible, but B, having a boy that you're like, oh, they're so sensitive, So when is that point when we decide they're not so sensitive, like, and just to raise a gentleman and
Mm-hmm.
um, anyway, it's just a beautiful thing to get to be a
Be a
mom.
boy mum.
What advice would you give your younger self?
I think trust the process. Just know that everything works out and you're exactly where you need to be. And, there are no failures, they're just lessons. Every experience is a chance to grow. And also it's, nothing ever stays the same, relationships, friendships, jobs, houses, and to go with the flow. But I think it come back to just trusting the process that you are safe and you are exactly where you need to be.
Yeah. I think that's so on point, especially in Los Angeles where things change so much.
Constantly. Isn't, you're like, oh, my favorite makeup place or my favorite hairstylist or my favorite workout. Like everything evolves and changes and grows and we're on to the next thing. Everyone's obsessed with Pilates now. Every studio has a Pilates studio. It's like, it's just so interesting, like from a, brand standpoint, but then also like LA people come here. We come here for the business, right? And then a lot of the business isn't here anymore. It's everywhere else. So it's like this everything is always evolving and changing and you can't get stuck in your ways. You have to like pivot. Wasn't that the word of 2020? You have to pivot, but you have to, really go with the flow because things constantly change.
They're constantly evolving, or as I like to say, we're in an interesting time.
Yeah, very interesting.
All right. And then what is an activity that you did when you were younger that people might be surprised by?
I'm trying to think back. This is part of perimenopause brain fog. Like I have no memory. I can't think back to when I was a kid. But I think I was so consumed and obsessed with dance. That's kind of really all I did. I didn't really have time for hobbies. I was dancing every day after school and all weekend. So I think that was a huge part of what, made me who I am, like the discipline, the drive, the community, the friendships, always knowing that there's no perfection in dance. Like you're always having to push and push and push to be better. And so, yeah, I mean, that was my life. That was my hobby, my interest, my obsession, my everything.
But there's so many people who do dance, but they don't have that like laser focus, that drive, that insane amount of energy. You
Hmm.
have a lot of energy.
Hmm.
What was there something that was the cause of that? Or that you just woke up and you just and just, were a tornado and they had to like focus you.
Okay. I think I remember my mum said she didn't want to be a ballet mum. She was like, oh gosh, this is such a big commitment. But she said, I said to her, like the age of 5, I saw a pair of, ballet shoes and I said, I want to do that. So I think I knew from such a young age that that's what I wanted to do, was such a creative outlet. And it's when people ask, when do you feel the most confident, or the most grounded? It would be when I'm dancing because I just feel that I'm in my body and I'm connecting to the source. So I think it was just something that I was just born to do, and that I've always known that was a part of me. And so yeah, I just and there's something about, back then dance teachers were like, do it again, do it again, do it again. And so that seek for perfection was ingrained in such a young age. So I think it's always constantly in me, that need to to be good or better and best. You know, you're always on, you're always performing. So yeah.
And then where can people find you? Do you still even do private sessions? What else are you promoting again? Website, blah, 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 all the things. Let
All
us
the
know.
things, all the things. Yeah. Well, I guess the beauty about COVID was that I train a lot of people on Zoom now. So I have people all over the US, some in different countries working on the time zones. So I still personally train, and I do at people's houses or out of gyms here, which I love because I just love that one-on-one connection. I teach pop-ups every now and then. Obviously my retreats and the app, which the digital studio that has content on there. Every Saturday a new video is released, a new workout is released. There's programs on there. And my big passion project is the Simone sessions, which is the course for women in midlife. So you can find me on Body By Simone Instagram or Simone De La Rue Instagram, both of those websites. And maybe you'll see me at Whole Foods buying my steak.
Your steak and your veggies
And
to
my
roast.
protein
Protein
shake.
shots. Thank you so much. This
My
is so
pleasure.
wonderful.
This has been
Appreciate
really
you.
fun. Yeah, it's lovely to see you, and congratulations on all your evolution too, and doing your mission. I love it.
Thank you for tuning in to another empowering episode of Manifesting Your Mission. If today's insight resonated with you, be sure to subscribe and share your thoughts with a review. Tag me on Instagram at Brianna Brown Keen, as I would love to hear from you. If you are ready to turn up the dial on your journey, dive deeper with my guidebook, or explore personalized coaching options or my annual retreat, visit manifestingyourmission.org for more details. Remember, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Brianna Brown Keen. Together, we can rise higher, shine brighter, and give back. I'm Brianna Brown Keen, and this is Manifesting Your Mission. Until next time, keep believing in your dreams and living your purpose.